What's up, traders? Zach here from the Trading Network. Hope you guys are doing well. This is another video from the community request playlist, and this video is going to be more of a philosophical topic, I suppose you could say. There is going to be some tangible suggestions and things of that nature, but it's not going to be a lot of on-chart examples. It's basically just going to be me talking. So without any further ado, the topic of the video is how to properly goal set from an inconsistent trader to a consistent one and see incremental results week by week. And it's a bit of a loaded question, to be fair. And it is, it's kind of tied into overall life advice, as you guys will see. But one of the biggest things that helped me become a consistent trader was actually introducing consistency and discipline in my life outside of trading. For example, I went on a diet and I started to exercise daily and I started to meditate daily and I started to do daily affirmations, trading related and non-trading related for what it's worth. And prior to this, it was a tough journey. I struggled a lot because I could see that I was finding some technique and improving, but where most people lack in their trading isn't in their technical analysis or their strategies for what it's worth, even though that is, a tough thing to work on. Most people struggle with and fail at the step of discipline and getting consistent, right? Most people can figure out a strategy. I mean, they can watch some YouTube videos or take a course and figure out a strategy, even like mine. And, they can learn the strategy and understand it and know what to look for. But some people just really struggle being disciplined. And that was me, to be 100% honest with you guys. I was in a position in my life where I could basically do whatever I want and was doing whatever I wanted and didn't really have a lot of structure. And unfortunately, it took me a while and a lot of blown accounts and stuff like that to realize that I had no discipline, like as a human being overall in general. I was just doing whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and didn't have structure. I wasn't really eating right. I wasn't exercising, and you could really tell. And that was showing in my trading. And one thing that I realized after, talking to some trading psychologists and, doing a little bit of research and things like that was, trading is very similar to a competitive sport or a professional sport. What we do is not far off mentally from what professional athletes do on a daily basis. And professional athletes, they have bad games, of course, which is, equated to losing days in trading. It's the cost of doing business. But these people are exceptionally consistent and rigid in their rules and disciplined. And that is how they got to where they are. That's how really anybody in a high level position gets to where they are. I mean, typically it also includes, coaching and a support network, if you will. But again, the main theme is discipline. Coaches help you take take little bits and pieces that you've learned on your own and put them into, a cohesive, structured piece. And I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent in that regard, but if you think about it, like any coach or any teacher, they really just help you become disciplined and learn how to study on your own, be productive on your own, and things of that nature. So, getting back to the main question, how do you properly set goals from an inconsistent trader to a consistent one and see incremental results week by week? This question is really coming from a place where a trader already has their own strategy, and understands technicals and things of that nature. So, from there, I would really try to introduce discipline in all aspects of your life. Try to wake up at the same time every single day. Try to do even 5 or 10 minutes of exercise. do a little bit of mindfulness. If you guys are into that, if you're not, for what it's worth, it helped me significantly in really becoming a better person overall and obviously becoming a better trader. And for me, it's always been just very short little meditation sessions, like 10 minutes at a time. I use an app called Calm, and they have something called the Daily Calm, which is a 10-minute meditation, and they have different themes every single day. So that helped me a lot, and it was not easy at first. It took a lot of practice to meditate and learn how to calm down and control myself and really just do nothing and think about nothing. But um, that helps significantly as a trader. It's hard for me to even explain. So introducing discipline outside of trading is really step number one, or that was step number one for me. Writing down your steps or your technical checkboxes was another factor for me. In other words, let's say that I have 3 indicators that I'm looking at. For instance, let's just do this. So let's say I'm using momentum oscillators, Fibonacci pivots, and candlestick structure. Okay, so I want to write down 3 boxes that need to be checked for every single trade that I take. If these 3 things are not present, then I have no business being in a trade. And if you are in a trade without one of these check boxes, or all 3 of these check boxes rather, just get out. Do yourself a favor. So 1, let's say major level, Fibonacci pivot. In this case, it's S2 in the example that I'm using. Number 2 would be oscillator structure in the direction of the trade. And this is some alpha for you guys, so feel free to use these and backtest these steps. And 3 would be candlestick structure. Cool. So as simple as this, here you have 3 things to look for on every single trade. If you don't have this, and obviously this is an example for a long trade, so this is very simple. I use more check boxes than this to have higher probability trades, but this is something that's, I wanted to quickly show you guys because it really can be this simple. Pick 3 things, go back test them, and if you see that when these 3 things are present at the same time, 7 out of 10 times the trade idea works, 8 out of 10 times, even 6 out of 10 times. I mean, that's still pretty darn good. For what it's worth, the strategies that I teach in the fundamentals of futures trading are significantly higher than that, I will say. But even something like this will show you how you can get structure in your trading. It'll show you how you can get a good sample size with the same variables in each trade, right? If you don't have 3 things or at least 3 things in each trade that you look for, then you're not going to be able to get a good accurate sample size of your strategy because you're doing different things every single time. Take 3 things, practice these, do 100 trades, 1,000 trades. I'm serious. Like you're gonna have to get your 10,000 hours in some way. And this is a very good way, and this is how you properly goal set. You have to have discipline. First, you have to have structure. You have to do the same thing over and over again. You have to treat trading like a business, and then you can properly set your goals. You can set goals as far as trading size, contract size, right? You can start with, 5 micros, for instance. Once you are profitable for a couple of weeks doing the same thing with the same size contracts, then maybe you start to set a goal to work towards 7 micros. Maybe every 2 weeks you bump yourself up 1 micro, something like that. If you have a little bit larger account size, you can do the same thing with minis. I'm just using micros as an example because a lot of people are using micros these days with the high volatility in the markets. So that's a really simple way, and that's how most traders at prop firms on Wall Street and things of that nature strategically scale their accounts. You like at a prop firm, for example, you can only use a certain amount of contracts with a certain amount of equity in your account, right? If you have $150,000 in your account, in the example of the earn to trade evaluation, which you can find a link for in the description below, you start with a $150,000 sim account, right? You can only use 3 contracts until you reach $1,500 profit. Once you reach $1,500 profit, then you can bump it up to, I believe it's 4 and 5 and 6, so on, as your account grows. So that is something very, very important to keep in mind, is this is how prop trading firms are scaling their traders' accounts, and this is how they are teaching people how to strategically scale and manage their risk properly. So these 2 things, having a few check boxes, having a system, setting a goal for your contract sizing, and sticking to that goal. And it's not going to be fast. Most people boom and bust their accounts. They do well for a little bit and then they blow their account because they don't manage their position sizing properly. They do well for like 2 days and then they think that they should double or triple their position sizing, and then boom, there goes their account. You have to slowly build. This is something where you really need to lay a foundation before you can increase, and you need to take it slow to see those incremental week by week results. And they're probably going to be pretty small at first, but know that is the right way to do things. I'm not sure that I've ever met a trader that has learned a strategy and jumped in with massive position sizing, or even like multiple regular sized mini contracts, for what it's worth. I mean, most people either have to start with micros or 1 mini contract and slowly work their way up, because it takes time to get comfortable to see those numbers get larger and larger. You get really emotional when you see $1,000 in drawdown happen in 30 seconds when you increase your size on something like NQ, for instance, and then you're not trading according to your check boxes, you're trading according to your P&L, and that is how most traders, basically go down the path of doom and destruction. So I know there were some tangents in this video, and things talked about aside from specifically how to properly set a goal. But I think all of these things are extremely important in being able to be rigid in your rules so that you can, stick to a system to see those results. Because if you don't have a system, then it's really, really hard to set goals, because, you're kind of just like shooting from the hip and you don't really have something repeatable. Something that I took away from Mark Douglas's teachings, shout out to Mark Douglas, rest in peace. He said that you should be able to describe your edge in about 1 sentence. Okay. And if you can do that, and it's simple and it's repeatable, and you can literally like write it down and check a box, check each one of the boxes on a piece of paper every time you take a trade, if you really wanted to. And I know some people who have done that, and that has helped tremendously. So nothing is too crazy, literally sitting on your hands, checking the boxes on a whiteboard. I actually used to have a whiteboard, and I would, I wrote my technical check boxes down, and every single trade, took the whiteboard, checked it off every single time. And it just builds that muscle memory, just like, Kobe Bryant, for instance, going to the gym at 4 a.m. and shooting 5 times more free throws than all of his teammates. He just put more time in. He put more dedication in. He had a system. He practiced it. He repeated it over and over again, and everybody knows the results. Obviously, that is an edge case, but it is the same idea here. You get a good system, you practice it, you set goals, and you will see those results. I promise. This stuff is not rocket science, but it is like any other highly sought after profession where it takes time, it takes practice, a lot of it takes coaching, and you have to put the work in. This stuff will not be handed to you. Most people make money really easily at first. They think it's really easy to, do this every single day. And, some people learn quickly, some people learn the hard way. But, the traders who are doing this day in and day out, they went through the same thing. Everybody pretty much goes through the same thing. Everybody goes through very similar struggles. And it's really just the people who persevere, that understand as long as they continue to practice, once they have a good system, they will see the results that they need or they want to get to with consistent, disciplined practice. It is not easy, but it is quite literally that simple. So I hope that this video helps you guys out. I know it's kind of different than most of my other videos, but this is an important topic that I could talk about for a very long time, and I will continue to talk about because it's important for traders to understand this, talk about it themselves, and really understand their own psychology, which is a big part of this as well. Discipline is all psychological. Can you walk away when you've taken losses? Can you walk away when you've had a winning day, but you want more money, just from pure greed, things like that. So leave some comments down below. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me know if you guys have experienced any of these things that I've talked about, or if you have practiced things like technical checkboxes and how you have created and implemented discipline into your trading. So thank you guys very much for taking the time. I appreciate you. A lot more content coming soon, and I will see you shortly. Much love.